Tonight, President Trump continues to blast Puerto Rico and its leaders, even though the island is still recovering from a devastating hurricane. The mayor of San Juan joins us to remind the president that Puerto Rico is part of America and 3 million U.S. citizens need its help, not criticism and funding cuts. Then I will speak with a Democratic congressman who's just back from the border. He says the president's threat to shut the border down isn't only a bad idea, it's a dangerous one. Also, it is deadline day for the Mueller report. Democrats saying they're ready to use subpoenas if necessary if they don't get the entire document. A former federal prosecutor will join us, as well as Senator Blumenthal, as we talk about where this investigation goes next. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I am Richard French, and we begin tonight in Puerto Rico. Now, the Senate just voted down a $13 billion emergency relief bill that would have aided hurricane victims in Puerto Rico, Florida, Texas, and the Carolinas. Democrats who oppose it say the money going to Puerto Rico is inadequate. The impasse, it's resulted in a reduction in funds to the island, especially for anti-poverty programs like food stamps. Well, President Trump, he continues to treat Puerto Rico like, well, frankly, a foreign country instead of an island containing 3 million American citizens. Washington Post reporting that Trump has been asking advisors how to limit federal spending there, and he's also said he only wants to pay for improving its electrical grid. Now, this morning, the president sent the following tweet where, once again, he went full attack mode. Quote, "The people of Puerto Rico are great, but the politicians are incompetent or corrupt. Puerto Rico got far more money than Texas and Florida combined, yet their government can't do anything right. The place is a mess. Nothing works. FEMA and the military worked emergency miracles, but politicians like the crazed and incompetent mayor of San Juan have done such a poor job of bringing the island back to life." Ever since Maria struck, the president, he's been blaming the victims. Here, just a small sample.
We're closely coordinated with the territorial and local governments, which are totally and unfortunately unable to handle this catastrophic crisis on their own.
Now, I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you've thrown our budget a little out of whack because we've spent a lot of money on Puerto Rico.
We now actually have military distributing food, something that really they shouldn't have to be doing.
Puerto Rico had a lot of difficulties before it got hit, and we're straightening out those difficulties even now.
The mayor of San Juan, who I will speak with in just a moment, has not been afraid to give it right back to the president. Here she is.
This is historic. It's a historic failure. This is President Trump's Katrina. And when you have to defend your position and try to spin it, for a year he has tried to spin it. But the truth speaks louder than he could ever will. He can spin it all he wants. 3,000 people died on his watch.
What the president is doing is not only undignified, but it's unbecoming of the president of the United States. This is just like telling somebody that's gone through a fire that it's their fault, that they didn't run fast enough.
President, he wasn't done yet with his Twitter tirade. Here another one from just this morning. Again, this from the President of the United States. Such bad island leadership and with so much money wasted cannot continue to hurt our farmers and states with these massive payments and so little appreciation. Joining me now live from San Juan is the mayor, Carmen Yulín Cruz. The mayor is also now running for governor. Mayor Cruz, thank you for the time. To that president's last point, giving money to Puerto Rico, he says, is basically throwing good money after bad, better used elsewhere. Do you believe the president considers Puerto Ricans Americans?
Well, you know, I don't think the president knows what the heck he's talking about. He continues to live in an alternative reality. He continues to use people against each other as pawns in his political game. He continues to be unable to show that he has a heart, perhaps because he has none. And he continues to show that he's not fit for the presidency. It is shameful that the president of the most powerful country in the world continues to tell lies. There's no way to say it that sounds any different. $91 billion for Puerto Rico, he's lying. That he's the best thing that happened to Puerto Rico, he's lying. That he has helped Puerto Rico more than anyone, he is lying. What is the truth? The truth is that by an act of legislation since 1917, Puerto Ricans are American citizens. I'm not sure the president knew that before this entire Irma and Maria situation literally blew over. The truth is that he was unable and incapable of doing his job. His lack of leadership resulted in Puerto Rico not having electricity for close to a year, and consequently 3,000 people died on his watch. How he's not embarrassed, humbled, and really puts his head underneath the ground when that amount of people have died on his watch, I really have no idea. The truth is that it's not 91 billion. The Washington Post says that it's at most between 11 and 13 billion dollars. The truth is that he doesn't know how to differentiate between the amount of money that has come as reimbursement for expenses following preparations and immediate collection of debris and vegetative material for Puerto Rico, that long-term recovery. The truth is that he just does not know what he's talking about, and he continues to use people against each other, Latinos against white Americans. He continues to use African Americans against Asian Americans. He continues to use the trans population and the LGBTQ community against one another. And really, simply put, the president is not fit to be the president. He just spews his hate away, tweets his hate away, and really has no idea. Somebody save him from himself.
I saw a number that nearly 44% of Puerto Ricans are living below the poverty line. How bad are things in San Juan and in the island as a whole?
Well, right now, it is approximately 30,000 people that are still living with blue tarps or blue roofs. If the average family is an average family of 4, that's 120,000 people we would have to take out of harm's way if a simple tropical storm comes by. FEMA, out of 2,970 applications that people in Puerto Rico put towards FEMA for funeral assistance, FEMA only approved 75, not 75%, 75 of those 2,970, which is eerily close to the number that the George Washington study 2009-75 said that had died as a result of the conditions that came about because of the situation caused by President Trump. Suicide rates and suicide attempts have gone up. And those $600 million that we're talking about is because 1.3 out of 3.2 million Puerto Ricans right now depend on food stamps to literally put food on the table. And out of that 1.3 million, 45% are children, elderly, and disabled. Senator Sanders had put forth a package to end this discrimination against Puerto Ricans, and so has Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez, and they have been joined by a host of people that have a heart, that have a mind. And my plea to the Republican Congress is not to let themselves be held hostage by a president that simply cannot get it done and that is willing to pull anyone that he can down with him just to get his way.
What happens, Ms. Mayor, if you don't get the funding that you are asking for, and obviously some on the Hill are trying to get?
Well, already it started happening. Back in March, there was a reduction in the amount of people that received food stamps and the amount per family that was received for food stamps. Now, of course, this is just an immediate solution. Yes, we have to develop a strong economy. We have to develop an economy that rids us of the shackles of the Jones Act that forbids us from buying from any other merchant marine in the world and transporting our goods and services into Puerto Rico through any other ship that's not a U.S. flagship. That increases our cost of living between 130%, 130% and 150%. But what will happen now is simply that people will go hungry. What will happen now is that simply people will not have what they need in order to be able to jumpstart our economy and our lives. We are not on the road to recovery. You know how many how much money has FEMA given to the municipality on San Juan and categories C and G, which are the recovery categories, the one that allows you to rebuild those areas that have been torn down or really, really badly hit by the hurricane? Zero. Out of 487 facilities since October of 2018, which is how long they took them to come up with the new guides, they have only inspected 57 of them. 57 of them. It'll take them 5 years and 10 months to inspect only in San Juan at the rate they are going. This is ludicrous. It goes beyond any rationale, and it just goes to show you that the President of the United States doesn't want to get it, cannot get it, has been vengeful towards the people of Puerto Rico, and simply is an embarrassment to the United States.
Well, Mayor Cruz, we all wish you the best of luck. And of course, we're going to follow where Washington does this. In fact, coming up next, we're going to be joined by Senator Richard Blumenthal, the Connecticut Democrat. He's livid about the president's treatments of Puerto Rico. He's also on the Judiciary Committee. So he'll also weigh in on the Mueller report and what he's hoping to see from it. Stay with us.